Hi, today I'm going to do just a quick rough sketch of how to think about setting up your cafe space in two-point perspective. So I have one of my templates here, and the first thing I want to do on the template is to remind myself that from here to here, from floor to ceiling, is 20 feet. So I have to keep that in mind when I'm scaling the furniture and things I'm putting in my space. So if this is 20 feet and eye level is roughly 5 to 6, I put eye level in here. It's important to remember that. Now I'm going to tape a piece of Bienfang paper over my template. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is think about putting a row of tables down this side wall. And so if this is eye level, right, then table level is probably right here. So you can see how small things are going to get when they're back here. And then, of course, they get bigger as they go closer to us. So I'm first going to give myself an organizational line from this space. And I'm doing that because I want to be consistent where I put the tops of my tables. All right? So I'm going to start back here. And you can use a straight edge to do this if you want, but I'm a little clumsy with that. But what I'm going to do is just work hard to follow one of two perspective lines. So the other thing to consider is when you're putting your table legs on the floor, you don't want it to come right where the wall and the floor meet because the table is out a little further. So you're going to want your legs to be out here someplace. But I'm going to start with the tabletops, and I'm going to follow this line, and I'm going to make my tabletop straddle this organizational line following this. And then I need to follow this line to get the back. And again, I'm going to go this direction to get the other side of my table. And then following this line, I get my tabletop. So the center of my tabletop is what I'm talking about, straddling that line. And then I can bring my legs down. All right, first table. So I'm going to start again with my next table. And remember, the space in between objects as they go back into space also gets smaller as it gets back here. So I'm going to start, same with that line, I'm going to start right about here. I'm going to have, it's going to be a little bigger. I'm going to follow this line. I'm going to bring my table legs down into the floor. Remember, not measuring up to where the floor meets the wall because that would be weird. This might be a little bit out of perspective there. And then I'm going to continue my way down here. So again, following this line. And when you're thinking about your space, think about creating as much space as you can. So instead of bringing a full element to all the way to the edge, think about adding something that goes off the page. So I'm going to add one more table here. And it's going to go off the page, so we won't see all of the legs. All right, so then I'm going to think about putting a booth in here behind. And the reason I do the front tables first is because I don't want to have to draw the whole booth and then erase it where my tables are. So this way I can kind of judge where things are and only drawing what I have to without having to do a bunch of erasing. So I'm going to start back here, and you don't have to put a booth in. You don't have to put the kind of booth I'm putting in or even these kind of tables. I'm just giving you a little bit of a way to start structuring your sketches for your cafe. So I'm going to start back here, and I'm going to think about kind of booths that maybe go up to eye level. So I'm going to make myself a little arched booth here. I'm going to go across. And now these will get bigger too as they come down because they're getting closer to us. Okay. And so then I have to consider the seat, which will look a little bit confusing because I have that organizational line. So you want the bottom part where it meets the floor to come a little bit out from the floor line. So that's the table. So I'm going to put the bottom of the booth here. And then you could take your straight edge and straighten that out. I might do that. It's just a little bit in front of where the floor line meets the wall line. But, you know, I don't have to draw it through my table legs. Okay. So then I have to think about the seat. So that's going to be probably up here a bit. And then the front, right? So there's the cushion part. And then I'm going to take from this line here, I'm going to go follow this line and bring out the seat and then go down to the floor. And do the same here, here. Give these little spaces something in between. I'm going to give it a little top here. This is loose sketching, people. I'm just trying to give you a sense. Okay, so I would continue to work on this, tightening it up to making sure that we read it as a booth. And then I'm just going to come over here, and maybe in this space I'll put a bar. So that'll also, remember, don't line it up where the floor line meets the wall because that's not how it works. So I'm going to put it out here a little bit. Pardon me. And then I'm going to go up almost to eye level. And then I'm going to follow this line as I go back. Okay. And then I would give myself probably the bar area here where the surface of the bar is. And then probably you would see stuff back in here. Then I could add stools if I wanted to. And remember, if you're doing like round stools, the ellipses go in the same direction whether you're in 2-point or 1-point. And then the other thing I want to think about is which side my windows are going to be on. And I think I'm going to put it on this side. So I would, from here, sort of draw my ground, and then maybe out there I might have tables or foliage or plants that you could see. And then I want to think about lighting. So if I have ceiling lights for this area, I want to think about the light shining in the middle of these tables. So I would, and you want it to be tall enough so that people don't bump their heads when they sit down. So I would do that. And they'll get bigger as they go down here too. So that's just a rough way to show you how to start your sketches for your cafe. And of course you'll be tightening these up more and not doing this kind of fast work, but this is a good way to practice before you start in on your actual drawings. You can also put stuff in this area, and so then you would think about this as being the table height. So if you had bar tables here, they would be bigger. And then you could put, your chairs in there too. So there's a lot of space to work with if you remember that things go behind each other and not necessarily stack up on each other. So I hope that was helpful, and we'll do some more later. Bye.